Alright, Journal 3, Exercise, Chapter 6, Nonverbal Communication, The Breach. So answer these questions. What is considered normal nonverbal behavior? So I'd say shaking hands, a certain amount of eye contact, showing your fingers to mean numbers, like I'll have two of those, or like if you're saying like peace, or using your hands to convey stuff. Smiling, nodding, winking, frowning, eyebrow movements. I think that's good enough. What happens to people who act weirdly? People who act weirdly usually get looked at strangely, or people will whisper hurtful things behind their back, or if they're like more, I don't know, I'd say boisterous, or just like rowdy, they might laugh or say things to your face like, "What are you wearing that for, pal?" Or just even point and laugh, stuff like, yeah, just tease them, make them feel bad about themselves, or even talk about them later to their friends and stuff like that. What might be the point of doing social breaches in nonverbal communication? I'd say to show how people react to certain situations, like on various levels, breaking away from the norm and trying to understand how their own upbringing and cultural aspects affect the way they react to stuff. I know like people, I forget which class it was, but they said there's McDonald's in like China, and there's like a big M on the floor, and people will walk around it because they don't like to step on symbols and stuff like that. So just to see the way people react to stuff that is out of their norm, I guess it would be good research to see how emotions and what emotions come from people, and it's how the brain reacts in certain ways, and how uncomfortable people get. So for the breach, it was like last year, but I didn't really have time to really think about anything too much. So I just remember I was wearing this jersey, which is kind of a breach, but not really. But I just remember, I'm just going to go through the questions and kind of try and answer them the best. So, it says, what was your breach? So I wore this jersey to school one day, to Lambton College. How did it violate taken for granted norms? So I'd say that most people usually wear jeans or dress pants, t-shirts, shorts, sweaters, but since it's a huge jersey, it's too big for me. It's bright red, orange, yellow, just really bright colors, that it's, I don't know, kind of violated the norm in that sense. Who did you do your breach on and why? Well, it wasn't meant to be a breach when it happened. I just felt like wearing it that day, but I guess essentially the whole school or whoever saw me that day. What happened with the breach? I'll just kind of intertwine a couple of these questions because they're like, how did others react? I'll put that with what happened. So other than like a few head turns and stuff, or it's like smiles or kind of like a weird eyebrow look, it was regular and normal, I'd say, because most people, it's not too far out of the norm. And we see people wearing jerseys on TV every day, and it's something so not that much different, but it's different a little bit. And it's kind of interesting just how many people would just turn their heads and look just because of the colors, and it's not something you see someone wearing every day. Like, I'd see probably maybe one person a day wearing a jersey at the college. Maybe one. And it wouldn't be as big on them as this one is on me, I don't think. It just looks huge. How did you feel afterwards? I felt fine because, well, I don't really, after being really tall and having glasses throughout most of like high school, my appearance doesn't really bother me. So even if they were looking, I just go, hey, you like the jersey? I like it, so whatever, I don't really care. How did you feel during it? I felt fine. I remember one guy said like, oh, I wouldn't be wearing that just because they were sucking that year. But other than that, I felt completely fine. No one really said anything rude or anything to me. Not like if I was dressed up really inappropriately or something. But yeah, that was basically it, just wearing this. So yeah.